Hello, this is Art. We're going to build a bed with a desk. And for the professional woodworkers, this really isn't a video for you. It's something that I came up with and I'm just a hobbyist. So moving forward, the first thing we're going to go over is a real basic set of plans. And then we'll cover step by step the process I did to make this. Here's a basic set. We got legs, stiles, rails, panels, gussets, and a little bit of plywood, finished plywood. For the most part, you can do these with a skill saw or any saw that can cut 45s. The first thing we're going to do under the blue highlighted area is the legs. Here's an overview of the shop. Now on the legs, they're hollow. We're going to cut this hemlock, which isn't something that I'll use again, probably on a project like this anyway. It's kind of brittle and not as strong as I would like. But we'll use it and cut each leg in 4 sections. And I'll show that here in a second. And we'll move on. There's your 4 sections. 45 degrees, 4 inches wide. These are going to be 6 foot long. So in doing so, I'll go ahead and cut these up, and then I'll show you how I taped and glued them, which is something I saw somebody else do on another video. And forgive the video editing and the process. This is my 3rd video, so still getting the hang of it. And it does look like I'm getting a little close to that blade. So this process is a very simple process. Like I said, I think you can do this with a skill saw if that's what you have. There it takes 4 of these cuts to make 1 leg, 6 foot long. Lay the tape across there just like I'd shown. Glue the 45 degree sections, and then you just fold it up. Very simple. Kind of squeezes the tape, pulls the corners together real nice and squeezes everything. Now if you look at these legs, 6 foot long, I put caps on the tops and the bottoms, and most of the way up next to that little worm thing you're going to see plywood, and that's sandwiched between the 2 cut portions of the legs. This is the next day, pulling the tape off. Then I'm going to use a jointer, but you don't have to. A sanding pad of just regular sandpaper and a sanding pad will do just fine to get these cleaned up. I took an easy way out. Clean them up, make sure they're square, and then the next step is going to be routing the corners, and we're going to do a little 1/4 inch round over. So far the only tools I think you'll be needing is a router, maybe even just a little trim router, because that's all I'm using, and skill saw. Now I got this little rigid trim router, and I use it for everything. It's comfortable, does a really nice job, and it's rock solid. The only thing I wish I had was real good dust control. Now I do have a DeWalt that has real good dust control. I didn't get that out. Now you'll see that the ends are not perfectly lined up. We're going to cut those off just after this pass with a router. And once we cut the ends off and dress everything up, we're going to cut the legs to width, length. Very easy. You'll see the chop shop saw hood. I really like that. It collects most of the dust that comes off of this saw. And you'll see some of the dust coming back out, but it actually gets sucked back in. I've got a 4-inch vacuum hose up underneath the saw into the back of that hood, and it actually pulls all the dust, pretty much all the dust, right back in, and I'm good and clean. Now here's where we're going to cut these, and in how you're going to do it, it's up to you. Cutting these at whatever height you want for the top of your desk, and if you're going to put a shelf in. Really, you don't need to settle on my plans. If your child is shorter, obviously you can do a whole lot less height on your desk and your top of your bed. My little one is 12 years old, and this worked out real good for her. Next step is the stiles and rails. We have 16 stiles and 8 rails. In this first process, I'm going to be cutting some long strips, and I'll gang them up and cut those sections out quickly. These stiles are 2.5 inches, and the rails are 2.5 inches. The stiles are going to be cut at 11 inches with a 1/4 inch tenon. They're going to be going into dados that I'm going to cut along the rails. Same as the panels. We'll be sliding them all in. I'm using a little C-clamp to make sure I'm getting consistent cuts. Slide it up against it, make my cut. And here we go with cutting the rails. And these are going to be 73 inches long, 1/2 inch on each end for the tenon. It's going to slide into a mortise that I'll cut into the top of the legs. These tenons, again, are 2.5 inches wide. A lot of the cuts, if you have a table saw, are going to be very consistent. That was my plan anyway. Now we're going to get into cutting the panels to length. Each of the panels are going to be 15 inches wide, and all of these widths and lengths are going to have to be verified for your own bed. It'd be something for you to throw together on a decent set of plans. As your child grows, you may not need such a high desk. As my little girl is 12 years old, I built it just a little higher than what she wanted, so she'll grow into it. Now I'm a cheapskate. I glued all of these sections that I had cut off of while I was making the legs. I glued all of these together, and this allowed me to use these panels. Added it to the panels, gave me just enough. After I was told that we would be doing stain, I wouldn't have to worry about glue lines or anything like that. So now I'm cutting all the panels, obviously, to dimension. And again, the panels are going to be 15 inches by roughly 11 inches. Now, you may not choose to do mortise or tenon or dado work. You could do pocket hole screws, which I did use some of those. And I ran into this issue. I was going to use my shaper table, but it I didn't have a bit for the 1/4 inch bits. So I had this sitting in the back. I had bought it a long time ago and I had never assembled it, and I figured now was as good a time as any. So anyway, this is a extremely heavy router table, and being heavy, it doesn't have any real vibration when you kick this thing off, and it seems to have a very good fit and finish to it. I was real surprised. That top area with the black around the outer edge is just solid cast, and that thing is heavy. So here I am going to go do a test and make sure that this, I got a DeWalt router underneath there, the 618 and a little 1/4 pounder, and it did the trick. So we're going to go through and do all of the rails, and I'll speed it up, just flipping and going. I'll stop here in a second, show you the round over. There you go. Oh, it does a nice job. So I did all of the styles, and I did all of the rails. Seem to have just plenty of room to do it, and it's got really good dust collection. So anyway, this little Rebel was a good purchase. I saw a lot of these router tables out there for, you know, going up to $1,000 depending on what you're after. But this does the job. Nothing special. I'll be posting both of these parts of this video together, so you should see the second part immediately after the first.